into it. The Shrewsbury Biscuit's here with me, Alex Whiteley. Thank you for joining us back, listeners. And today I've got a great show. We're talking a bit about charity today and what people are willing to do to sort of raise money for charity. We're talking more about putting your body on the line, and it's something that I like raising money for charity. I have done before, but I'm not the fittest guy in the world. So during my time working with Lincoln Davis, got a chance to the guys there, and I got introduced to you, Alan Lewis.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for the welcome.
Yeah, it's good. And I love talking about things like this because one of the things that I bring up quite a bit is the negative things that happened during sort of the first lockdown and how disappointed I was with humanity. You know, there's so many negative things going on, and social media was an absolute mess. But then you get reminded of the good faith people have, community and charity and things like this. And this is why I love doing what I was doing with Pod Aid. This is why I really want to do it, is just keep spreading that positivity. It's really important, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It was tough. There was a lot of negativity out there. I guess, you know, being a sporting event business, obviously we couldn't do any events with our charity partners or with any of our partners because that space was closed down completely. But I guess the really good thing about the running and cycling community was people were allowed that hour a day to get out and continue their running and biking journey.
It was everywhere, wasn't it? Everybody was out there.
It was lovely to see. You know, if you did have to get out of the house for an essential trip or you were out walking or whatever, to see all the runners and bikers out there was really good for me because I realised that people didn't stop that, and when lockdown was going to be lifted, there'd be some appetite for people to get back in the game and you know, start running and cycling and coming to events, and hopefully when they're at the events they can raise money for you know, the charities. So yeah, a lot of negativity, but I was looking at the positive side, thinking there's a lot of people running and biking.
And this is what with the Biscuit, it's always been positive. Everything I do is positive, right? So it was really hard to stay positive, seeing all that, right? But then you get those reminders. Like, you know, the good things that could happen. I've just been listening to, I love a band called Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, right? I love them. Frank's great, and he released a new album about a month ago, and a lot of his songs are about lockdown and how sad he was. And I was just like, listening to this thing, and it's going to be one of those things that we listen back to and just, you know, when it comes to lockdown, and remember what it was like. But anyway, let's move on. So you have a fitness business that creates events, right? That's what you do?
Essentially. So the business is called Adrenaline Sporting Events. The website is adrenalinesportingevents.co.uk. That platform consists of 8 events in the calendar year, and it is a twist between running and cycling. So we've got runs that start at 5k distance all the way up to 20k, and the bike rides start at sort of 50k and go up to probably about 115k or around sort of 70-80 miles. So there's something for everyone. We offer in the running field, we offer trail running in a really nice private estate just on the edge of Oswestry.
So is that getting off the paths into the dirt tracks?
Absolutely, yeah. So absolutely beautiful scenery just on the edge of Chirk in a beautiful private estate, and we partner up with the Movement Centre for that one. That's a running festival. It's called the Brynkinalt Running Festival. It's got 5k, 10k and 20k, so it's got something for everyone.
For everybody, yeah.
And it's, you know, completely private. It's completely, I guess, exclusive because that private estate only open for runners 1 day a year. So that's a great offering. And then our other runs are on closed roads. So we've got Oswestry 10k, which partner with Hope House. We've got Welshpool 10k that again partner with Hope House. And then we've got the Shropshire Santa Run, which is our next event, thinking about Christmas. And that's a 5k, fun, no timing, no pressure. It's on closed roads. You get a Santa suit as part of the entry, and that helps raise money for Lincoln Davis. So That's a running side, and then on the road cycling side, we've got a ladies only ride called Pedal Pushes. We've got Pedal the Borders with Lincoln Davis. Pedal Pushes is with the Movement Centre, and our longest standing event across the board is the Midnight Ride, and that happens on the longest day of the year, and it finishes at midnight.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite different, and it meanders across Powys and Shropshire, and we get back to Oswestry at midnight for a midnight buffet and a beer, which is quite a nice concept. And then we've also got a mountain bike festival as well, that happens in the summer.
I don't know where to start to unpack all that. I really don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
sorry.
No, that's light.
Chucked it all at you at once.
That's fantastic. I mean, I heard a lot about Pedal the Borders because obviously I was working with Lincoln Davis, and they were like, "Oh, I've got this guy. He's doing this thing. Can you get him on the show?" And I was just like, "I am too busy.
We can't squeeze him in."
But no, this is why I've got you here, is to talk about these things. So, how much money do across the year with all your events do you kind of raise for charity on an average? I mean,
so I think this year we're on around £42,000 for this year, but I guess it's a mixture of helping the charities get involved. So it's putting the platform on, essentially. That's what I do. I mean, the good work, I make small contributions to the charities, but obviously the charities then rely on the participants to take up the challenge physically, but also the challenge of fundraising. So I guess the big one this year has been Pedal the Borders, without any question.
What was that then for my listeners at home?
So Pedal the Borders is a ride that starts from ACO in Oswestry. It takes place in July. So in 2022, it's on the 17th of July, which is a Sunday. And in 2022, we will have two distances for riders to participate in. It's all road. It's on quiet roads as well, but they will have a 50k or a 100k ride to do. So, the 50k is very achievable for, I would hope, most people. And for the people that are already at that level but want to go a bit tougher, then the 100k is on offer for them. So, it's been quite a nice journey with Pedal the Borders, because there was a working group formed probably now nearly 2 years ago. That was formed with Mark Harris from the business company. Mark was really poorly. Yeah, Mark had a nice ending to his journey with cancer, because he come through and now he's fighting fit and doing really well. But Mark wanted to do something for Pedal the Borders, for Lincoln Davis.
Yeah.
And then I guess we designed Pedal the Borders to accommodate Mark's, I guess, vision, really. It was his sort of baby. And then we come together with Lincoln Davis, and before we knew it, we had an event name, we had an event brand, and before we know it, we had the event there and then, which was, it was in July this year, as it is in next, and we had 116 riders come into Oswestry, and we raised just over £35,000 at that day, which was incredible for that amount of people.
Wow.
And it was really emotional and touching, because my mum had her treatment at Lincoln Davis. Mark had his treatment there and got through it. So there was a lot of sunglasses moments to hide away the tears. But it was an amazing day.
And a huge shout out to Mark Harris and Dean
Absolutely.
as well. They're both great. Dean came and spoke to us for Pod Aid. I love Dean. She's amazing. But when it comes to working with charities, cancer was one thing that's been affected. It affects everybody, right? It affected 100%. My family, and I'm doing this thing soon. Renard Cosmetics company, permanent cosmetics. They're donating nipple tattoos for people that have had, ladies that have had reconstructive surgery, so they're after models to have a nipple tattooed on them, and I think I'm going on Tuesday for a skin test to have just a nipple randomly put on my body, because I think it's one of those continuous battles. You've got to keep going, haven't you? And it's even if it hasn't affected you personally, it's definitely affected you, sort of indirectly, hasn't it?
100%. Yeah, and it will. If it hasn't already, then it will in the future. So
it's nice to know you're doing something decent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But also, there's the charity aspect. There's people's mental health.
Yes.
There's health and well-being. There's team bonding. There's participations, because the sponsors that generally get involved get free places for their staff. So there's team bonding, there's team morale, there's the health and well-being of the people that participate, the mental health, but the community as well. We closed down 7 miles of road 3 weeks ago at Oswestry 10K. Well, it stops the community in its tracks. People then become interested in what's going on because the town's closed, and they then come and support the runners, which then creates a nice atmosphere that then showpieces the town in a nice way, and people see it and share it on social, and it gathers quite a lot of pace.
And it does encourage people to get involved as well. I keep saying I'm going to do the Shrewsbury 10K, but I haven't done yet. I mean, look at me. I mean, I need to lose a bit of weight. But my problem is I will stand on a stage in front of thousands of people and hold a microphone and do whatever, but I will not go out running with cars driving past. And I guess that's a general. I'm not the only person. I know there's a lot of people that.
100%. And I think when you say that, I completely get it. I agree with you, and I think that's why I've shaped Adrenaline Sport and Events the way I have, because if you like that town centre buzz and seeing people and are comfortable running down there in front of hundreds, maybe thousands of people, then that's great. But what happens if you want to be part of something and you don't want that? And I think that's what Brynkinalt Running Festival offers, because once you leave that start area, you're in the trees, you're in the woods, you're running along a river, you're going across a field, you're going down some single track, you're in your own comfort zone, you're in your own zone, and you don't have to worry about all of that. So I think that's there for people to enjoy without those pressures.
It's a bug as well, isn't it? I've got a friend, Gareth Williams, in Wrexham, and he does a lot of running. He literally is there every week. He's got like got to be at least 100 medals now, because he's doing a run every. He's like, and it is a bug. Like, I feel like some people, like, they do the first one, then they want to get another one, and they want to do another one, and they want to do another one. Is that true? You see that a lot?
100%. Yeah, I think it's very addictive. I think you see all types of people coming in. People that need that escape after work. They want their little, their little buzz, their little own sort of time space outside of work, outside of home. It's just their little sort of bit of time to digest what's gone on in the day or in the week. So it's very addictive. But I think everybody's got to start somewhere. Whether you're an elite runner, we have Commonwealth Games runners coming to our events. So they're at the height of the sport. Yeah,
I'll see you at the end.
They're zoomed off, and that's great. We love having them. But I think the biggest, sometimes the biggest satisfaction for me is the general running or biking community, or the people that are just starting out on their little journey. We had a lady at Oswestry 10K. She come bowling around the corner. She was actually last, but she gave me the biggest hug, and she said, "I've got a personal best. I've got a PB," and I was like, "Wow, that's great." The winner didn't give me a hug, but the lady at the back who had a great day did.
There's something really cool though about that. Somebody that everybody's racing their own race, that personal 100%. Best, that PB, and I love that. And it was kind of like marathon season with the Great North Run and the London Marathon. They kind of all happened around the same time, and I had a lot of friends that were running in certain races across the country and stuff, and seeing their joy and just being there, being part of this event, and then finishing it and stuff. It was really nice.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
I'm kind of jealous of that, really.
Absolutely. And you're dead right. Everybody's on their own little journey of time. 10K is 10K, whether you do it in 32 minutes as the winner, or whether you do it in 1 hour, in near the back of the pack. It doesn't matter. They're all on their own little challenge.
And it's nice to be part of that sort of group as well. I mean, I remember sitting in house coffee, right? So what I tend to do is I like to be socially unsociable, right? So I like to turn it to a coffee shop with a laptop, headphones, and I'll just sit there and edit, right? Sometimes I can be in a coffee shop for like 2.5 hours, right? It's crazy, but I'm doing all sorts. And a coffee shop can fill up and empty and fill up and empty. And I remember going to Shrewsbury Coffee House. No, it's House Coffee, actually. It's House Coffee in Colham. And I sat there, it's quiet. And then I'm zoned in. I look up, and there's literally like 30 runners.
All after the park run on a Saturday morning.
Yeah. And they were just everywhere. And I was just like, it's crazy. But it's a good community.
Yeah.
Great community.
Well, you can see that is being created, but also you'll see people, that's their catch-up time. They might not see anybody else in the week, but they know they're going to see him at parkrun on the Saturday morning. And we've seen it at Oswestry 10K and some of the bike rides where, we heard conversations like, God, I haven't seen you for nearly 2 years. I've missed this. I've wondered how you've been getting on, if you're okay and whatever. Now there's an event there. Obviously, there's a connection, a community, there's catch-up time, old friends, new friends. It's so important, I think. But I guess I'm going to say that, but I do really think it.
I mean, you've got to be on the inside, I guess. I mean, me looking on the outside and kind of like, oh. But like, I guess it's easy to step into it. Like, the Shrewsbury Shufflers, they're a great group of people. A big shout out to Ron Morgan, of course, he started that. Okay, so let's start from the very beginning with adrenaline. Okay, where does it begin for you? Where do you think? Where you at the point where you're like, I could do this as a business? How does that begin?
Well, for me personally, so sport has been always, probably at the top of the,
your priorities in life.
Top of the priorities in life. Yeah, exactly. So if I was playing football locally in Shropshire or racing triathlon in Beijing or New Zealand or in Europe.
So you travelled with this thing then?
So I travelled as a participant, as an athlete, whatever you want to call me. I represented Great Britain in triathlon.
Oh, you're definitely an athlete, man.
But I guess what I realised, I'm now 45, but what I realised probably in, the sort of early to mid-30s that my time racing was coming to an end. And I wanted to do something that was a little bit different. So then I started the Midnight Ride, and that was 7 years ago. For the first 5 years of kind of the business, as it were, it was 100% for charity. Mm-hmm. And then it's only been in the last 2 years that we've changed the model to very charity sort of focused and connected, but as a business as well, because what we needed to do, we needed to invest in a brand, we needed to invest in our identity, we needed to invest in infrastructure, websites and a whole load of stuff, but we didn't want to take the charity connection away. So, for many years it was 100% charity, and then we changed the model slightly to do the job better.
You've got to invest in something to make
Absolutely.
it. And this is the same I have with the business, with the biscuits. So the biscuits are registered CIC, right? So I was like, let's make a company, let's make some money. To this day, since we've become a CIC, we have made £0 because I won't go out and chase it. And I should do, really. I should, the sponsorships and things like that, I should definitely chase it. But I'm kind of like, I hate asking people for things,
It is difficult. I mean, I must admit, without any of my sponsors, it wouldn't be possible, because closing down 7 miles of road for a 10K is not a cheap exercise. Traffic management companies.
How do you do that? How do you close a road?
Well, it's a little bit twofold. You work with the local authority. Mm-hmm. So in obviously Oswestry 10K case and Shropshire Santa Run, it's Shropshire Council. One of their terms and conditions is you need a traffic management company to partner with. Because they have large insurance policies, so on and so forth. But when you're closing something like 7 miles of road down, you are telling all the residents about it 2 weeks before. You're putting signage up 2 weeks before. So, we could potentially on a 10K run put 60 signs down, 30 of which are up 14 days before. So it's all a bit boring, but that all costs money, and without good sponsors, without good partners, without good backing, I can't do my job. So, no sponsors, no events, and no sponsors, no events equals no money raised for charity. So it's a collective of so many different bits that make it happen, and I guess it all gels together, for the event, and hopefully it becomes a success and everyone has a good time.
So do you think with every single event that you do, the next event could be better because you probably take a small slice of that to put towards the next event? Did that make sense? It sort of avalanches downhill.
Well, yeah, there's always improvements to be made. I always have a debrief at the end of each event, and then we start planning, for the following year. So the mountain bike event, which is called Valley Burner, if we use that as an example. Valley Burner was 1 day in 2021, and in 2022 it's going to be 2 days, and it will be a mountain bike festival with Pedal the Borders. We had parking right on site where the start and finish was. Next year we won't. We will have an area where we'll have live music, we'll have food, we'll have some things going on, activities going on for people waiting for their riders to come back. So they'll park up the road, and we will make the start and finish at ACO a nice offering rather than something that's just kind of in and out and away you go. So each event has improvements all the time. It never stops, and
it's good to hear.
You can't stand still, can you?
No.
If you want to keep your audience, then I guess the challenge is making these improvements and stuff.
This is what I'm having to do at the moment with the biscuit. I'm having to rebuild my team, to make things fresh a little bit, because I would quite happily sit here and chat all day, every day, and just do exactly the same thing. But you got to adapt, haven't you? I'm speaking to ACO at the moment. I'm going to go and see them and see what they do, and going to get them on the show, because even though it's Oswestry Way, the Shrewsbury Biscuit is dedicated to sort of Shropshire as well. Do you know what I mean? So we like to venture out, and I like the idea of here we go. He goes with his ideas again. But come to see Pedal the Borders next year.
Yeah.
As if we come and we just, I don't know, bring some cameras or something set at the start finish.
Yeah.
And we set up a biscuit team, and we send a rider to represent the biscuit, and maybe get them a GoPro thing, and then we can put like a vlog together.
That'd be great. Yeah. And then that way you can interact with the riders. You can see how their journey has evolved, from them maybe following a training plan 12, 15 weeks out, all the way through to seeing them crossing the line and getting a finisher's medal. And
you do that in summer, right?
Yeah, it's on the 17th of July in 2022. Yeah, so be a Sunday morning, early start. We'll get the 100k riders out first, and then the 50k riders will follow, meaning that hopefully they kind of come back at roughly the same time, and there'll be food on. As I said, there'll be drinks, there'll be some live music. So that's the way that event has evolved. This year it was just a 100k ride with a bit going on at the end, but not too much. Next year it'll be 50k and 100k, but with a lot more going on.
I'm laughing because what you're saying is remarkable, and I love it. But I'm thinking, I'm going to put an advert. I go, can you cycle 100k? Would you want to for the biscuit?
You'd be surprised. It's, what is it, 63 mile or something. There's 2 food stops in that, so they get supported along the way. We've got full mechanical and medical support that moves around with the riders, and then they get their 2 pit stops, toilet, drinks and food. So they're not just left to their own devices. It's all signposted, so when they are fatigued, they don't need to worry about stuff. So
consider my eyebrow well and truly raised, and we'll definitely support you with that, I think.
Yeah,
I'd love to get involved.
It'd be brilliant. I'm sure the guys at Lingen would love you to come along as well.
Oh yeah, they love me at Lingen Davis, and I love them too. It's mutual. I've just been today. You're going later, aren't you?
Yeah.
They're doing a promo video, and there was Mark there from Reach. I was going, Mark, you're right, and they were recording little bits that people are going to put together, and I got to say my thing, which is nice.
Yeah.
Nice to be included in stuff like that.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely, yeah. That's great.
What are the challenges then for you? Because this all sounds all gravy and stuff, but obviously it can't be easy doing what you do, running so many events with so many issues, so many problems. What do you find the hardest to deal with?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess because I work alone, I guess you're looked at as a potentially as an expert in all fields to the business, and the business is marketing, social media, it's event management, it's grouping up volunteers, it's supply chain of medals, it's designing and go into production of gantries and stuff. I would say my biggest challenge is doing all of them in a really high standard, but social media is a real challenge for me.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, because it never stops, and your audience always wants to see what you're up to. So I guess it's that creativity on social that's a real challenge. And because I've got, essentially 4 different disciplines of sport across 8 events, keeping that relevant and keeping it interesting is sometimes quite a challenge. But I live off the buzz. I live and breathe it 7 days a week. Event weekends I'm normally on the road 3 o'clock in the morning, putting signs up, all the way through to when everyone's gone and I'm walking around with a black bin bag picking up litter. It's everything. It's everything, really.
I mean, I've interviewed event organisers for years, and this is one thing you always find interesting when people create events and things. And one of the nicest things I saw was at Mile of Smiles. Right, Beth Heath created the Mile of Smiles in Shrewsbury, and I saw her everywhere, walking up and down Shrewsbury. She always had a phone to her head, and she was constantly
running around.
Right, and there was a scene. There's this moment where there was a band playing, and I just watched her, stood, and watching and taking it in just for a few minutes. And I thought it was one of the most beautiful things I ever saw, because it can't be easy to run an event. And is that the same for you? Do you have those moments where you just stop for a second? I made this.
I think when I do stop and I reflect in the moment, I get very emotional. So for me, I keep the accelerator down and I don't really take it in too much. And it takes probably 2, 3, maybe a maximum of 4 days to have a true reflection and a true sort of feel for it. So I think on the day I'm, crazy busy. We've normally got, on a 10k closed roads, I've got 80 people to try and manage, from St. John's having 25 people through to, the lead car with the clock on the roof, through to moving marshals on bikes, through to marshals being on the end of every street or at the end of every corner. So there's so much to think about, all the way through to the MC on the mic, through to the, the timing chip people. There's just so many little increments of, the jigsaw, I guess, that just keep you on your toes.
When there's an issue, they're like, Alan.
Yeah, the phone is the phone's non-stop, and it's just a bit mental, really. It's
I imagine,
but it's all good.
And I got a little. What's this? Adrenaline. Ooh.
So I bought you a little gift.
Oh, yes, right, okay.
I didn't present it at the start, but
adrenaline ale.
Yeah, so we do, again, sort of just stopping you in your tracks, but we do a little collab with the Stonehouse Brewery in Oswestry. So sometimes at the end of a bike ride, if the riders have been pretty nice and pretty good, we give them an adrenaline ale, which is obviously made and produced in Oswestry. Which is quite nice.
That's lovely.
Yeah,
Thank you
it's
so
good
much.
fun. So you can have a brew tonight.
I'll enjoy that during the radio tonight. Actually, I will. I'll give Adrenaline Ale and Stonehouse Brewery a shout out on the radio tonight. If you guys are interested in the radio station, I do a show called Naughty Talk every Thursday at 7 p.m. That's really cool. So this is proof, though. This you made this ale that you always looking for new things.
Yeah.
To sort of not just promote what you do, but it's just fun to do, right?
It is fun to do. We had the medals at Oswestry 10k this year. I'll show you one here. Sorry for the banging.
That's all right.
One around. They are relevant to the community. They are, they're where we live and what we represent. So this Oswestry 10k medal is a Wilfred Owen
That's fantastic.
medal. So again, like
and
you
everyone
say,
gets this that participates.
yeah. So we try and keep it fun. We try and keep it relevant to the
I
community
want to
that
come
we
and
represent.
win one of these medals because they're
Yeah.
fantastic.
But yeah,
That's amazing.
So we just, there's no
I'll keep
right
that
or
up.
wrong, and there's no. I guess there's no big marketing plan for what we do. We just try and keep it relevant, fun, get the charities involved, get people along, and have a bit of fun as we go.
We were taking promo shots as we were doing this. This is how clever we are. We're doing stuff while we're doing stuff.
Proper high tech stuff.
Yeah. See if I can get you in the background, Alan. Yeah. Do you have an event, business, or promotion that needs advertising? Well, the Shrewsbury Biscuit is here for you. With listeners local, nationwide, even worldwide, we have the perfect place to get the word out. And the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast is a registered CIC, so you'd be helping us while we help you. Drop us a line at shrewsburybiscuitpodcast@gmail.com and speak to us today. The Shrewsbury Biscuit Podcast, the voice of Shrewsbury. You're kind of blurry. So
hopefully that's me, not the beer.
When do you rest? What do you do to sort of focus away from this? Because sometimes you got to just switch off, haven't you?
Well, you know what the answer's going to be. I either go for a run or, I go and hit myself on my bike, put some music on, go and hit the woods on my mountain bike, or go and hit the quiet valleys or lanes on the road bike. So I guess my time now will come because we've got the Shropshire Santa run on the 5th of December. And then we have a respite then until the 27th of March, which is the Welshpool 10K.
Oh, good.
So I do, have that off season as you would as a runner or a biker, just to calm things down a bit. So pretty chilled then. But again, it's ensuring that the sponsors stay with us for next year.
Yeah, of course.
It's ensuring that their staff get signed up to the events. So even though it's the off season, it's a bit more chilled, but that's when the planning starts. So we get our licenses with UK Athletics, we get our licenses with British Cycling, Welsh Athletics. So we start lining all the ducks up, and then it's all about filling the places, isn't it? We need then to fill the places, to fill the events up. So the pressures are different, and the timeline of those pressures are different. But it goes from setting them up, getting the dates out there, opening entries up, all the way through to thinking, hey, we need 1,000 runners, we need 200 bike riders, we need X, Y, and Z. So,
did you see that thing in the news recently about there was a runner who signed up for a 10K, ran the marathon by accident, and won it or something, and he got
disqualified.
Got disqualified.
Guy, yeah.
Did you see? What were your thoughts on that? Because everybody was kind of like, "Well, give the guy his medal. He got his medal taken off him and everything." It was really bad.
I think the thing is, it's really, really difficult when you operate. I guess a high standard event,
Yeah.
and that event has got terms and conditions, and it's got things potentially that are governed by UK Athletics.
Okay.
Then it's really difficult. I felt for the guy, but his time will stand on his Strava or on his on his own data.
So he's got his own PB there.
He's got his own PB or whatever it is that he achieved. But I guess you got to look maybe a bit further, because the guy that did enter that race, the guy that did comply with all the terms and conditions and the event regulations, he might feel put out because he would have won that race had this man not turned right.
Is it different price tiers for different races then? Is that what it is? Because you've got to raise so much, haven't you, to be able to take part? Is that how it works? Oh.
No, I just think he entered a 10K and it would have got to the point where it was left for 10K right for the half marathon. He got confused and turned right instead of left, ended up winning the way that he went, but obviously that deprived the person that absolutely entered that event. So yeah, I was gutted for the guy, because I've taken wrong turns at events and it is heartbreaking, but terms and conditions and the rules are there for everybody to adhere to.
And is that something people look to you towards sometimes when it comes to the
for
rules?
The guidance? Yeah, absolutely.
Rules and regulations and stuff.
Rules, regulations, signage, having it marshalled properly. But But also you do put a bit of onus on the athlete arriving with everything in line, you know. So I guess.
Did you read the email? Kind of.
Exactly, 100%. You know, we send emails out probably, you know, several times leading up to the event. The final one on the Tuesday, you know, the event's on the Sunday. It's all detailed in there, from parking to toilets to, you know, your bib. We even provide sort of like pins for race numbers. So
wow, they're cool.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're
Little
recycled plastic. They can use them several times. That they can live with them on their journey. But you know, we try to simplify things as much as possible. But we do rely on people reading the emails before they arrive. You know,
I think what you do is fantastic because you know, when it comes to like, I love music. I can't sing or play an instrument. I appreciate artists that go out there and do. When it comes to fitness and sports and things, I mean, I at one time I was very fit and healthy, but like I appreciate what you guys are doing and what you're encouraging people to do as well, because I feel like you not only are you raising this amazing amount of money for charity, but you're setting people up to challenge themselves and to improve their lives. And I imagine you've seen people come from the very beginning, you know, couch to 5K, whatever it is, right through to running marathons, maybe even, you know, and you are accommodating that. So I think that's great.
It's a nice feeling seeing someone that potentially might come on that 5K and then next year they're doing the 10K and then the year after they're doing a long bike ride. You know, you are part of that journey, and you know, it's not about business. It's just about being, you know, there and setting up something that's fun, enjoyable, and you can see people growing. You know, I've seen people that arrive at an event really, you know, not confident, not outgoing, and you see them 2 hours later, you know, they're in the middle, they're having laughs and jokes. You see them develop and grow, and that's as rewarding as anything, you know.
And then you see people like coming up dressed up like Bert and Ernie, or
we had a minion at Oswestry 10K.
Did you?
He come flying around the corner. He wasn't just dressed in a minion suit, he was flying along. And that just cracked me up, you know. I hadn't seen him at the start. I mean, we got nearly 1,000 runners there. And then at about 9K, I was up on my bike just checking that the marshals and the runners were everything was flowing nicely. And this minion comes flying around the corner, a guy from Wrexham. Brilliant, yeah, and that's all part of it. Good stuff, really good stuff.
So what did you say is your next event?
So Shropshire Santa Run, that's a 5K run. Children from 11 years up can do it. They can do it with mum and dad. They get a 5-piece Santa suit. It's on closed roads. It's fully marshalled. It's, you know, fully covered with medical cover. There's no timing on that one, so there's no pressures. 5th of December.
5th of December.
So yeah, Santa suits are already starting to go out. So just under a month to go. They can obviously sign up on adrenalinesportandevents.co.uk. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing as many Santas as possible and painting the streets of Oswestry red.
I think I'll definitely take you up on that, because Timmy, my lad, he's 6. He did the elf run, the elf dash.
Yeah,
the Love to Stay. He did that, and he's actually the poster boy for the website.
Oh, sweet!
And so the picture that they've got on the website is Timmy and his little elf.
Yeah. Well, they're the week before me, the guys that Love to Stay. So they're on the 28th of November this year.
It's a good point actually that we bring it up. Is do you work well with other companies and you know, you got rival marathons and things like that?
Absolutely, yeah. So we got Simon at Shrewsbury 10K, Joe at Shrewsbury Half Marathon. We got the guys at Love to Stay that do events. You know, we got the guys just over the border in Wales. I think there's just a nice bit of common ground there. You know, if you're going to set your date up, give the other guys a heads up so there's no clashing. So Joe at Shrewsbury Half Marathon is normally he's the week before me. So Shrewsbury Half Marathon is also in October. Oswestry 10K is normally a week after Joe. So yeah, it's we're rivals. Yeah, we're all looking for participants. We're all looking for, you know, as good of an attendance as we can get, but there's a bit of common ground.
But I guess there's people that want to put an X on that calendar and achieve every single thing they can across the county, right? So even in Wales. Yeah.
I guess the good thing is 5 and 10K, if you've done a long run the week before, you can still do the shorter runs the week after. So that's quite good. It's quite inclusive.
What advice would you give to someone a bit like me, bit of a gut, doesn't really do much running, maybe quit smoking or is trying to change something in their life or whatever, from the moment that you couch to 5K sort of advice would you give people?
I think it's all about baby steps, small steps often. I think, take the watch off, don't worry about time, don't worry about distance, and just trot along. It's baby steps. And grow and develop yourself just gradually. You don't need to go 0 to 10k in 2 weeks. Build it up slowly. Just add 5 minutes on a week onto your long run, little and often. I love that saying, little and often. You don't need to go out, start smashing yourself to bits and hurting yourself. Little and often, and use soft ground. If you are a little bit older, don't smash the pavements. If there's a playing field or a park, rest your joints, look after them, and in return they'll look after you.
That's one thing I thought about here is we've got the golf course just around the corner there. Just run that.
Absolutely.
Because it always sounds like an excuse, but I really badly broke my ankle a few years ago playing football.
Right.
Still scored a hat-trick after I broke it. And then I went to A&E in the night because I was like, But I still feel it, especially in the cold, right? If I'm on the... when I used to go to the gym, and I was fit, guys, I used to do 5K a day, right? I'd run on a slight incline, right? Just to help the ankle get through.
Get stronger.
Yeah. But I really do want to get to it. But it's just motivating myself. Motivation, I need it.
Little and often. And finding that event, whether it's with me or with another provider, just finding that event that works for you. Whether you do need to go on that off-road run that you don't feel self-conscious and you can just disappear across the fields and into the woods. Just finding something that fits
Would you chase me around with an electric cattle prod? Would you?
I'm not sure what Welsh Athletics would say at Brynkinalt. We can give
faster,
you a tap.
Whiteley, faster.
We can give you a tap with a stick, but I think the thing is, it's got to be fun. It's got to be relevant to where you are, and everyone's so busy, so you just got to fit it in where you can. But it is important to look after yourself.
It is, yeah. I think you're fantastic, and you're welcome back on anytime. If you've got an event that you're building up and you want to come and chat to me, we are trying to work out maybe a studio at some point. So there are things in the pipeline. We're in my apartment again. This is like the second time I think I've recorded in my apartment. It's just quite cool. And I've got Stuart Goodwin as well, a good actor friend of mine, coming around in a sec as well. So is there anybody you want to give a shout out to? Is anybody you want to say hi to?
Just all the sponsors, all the charity partners, all the participants, all the volunteers, St John's Ambulance. It's a massive collective of all of those people. So I wouldn't be sitting here. They're the guys that prop me up. I'm at the front, but without all of them, I certainly wouldn't be here. So it's sponsors, charity partners, participants, St John's Ambulance, the marshals, the helpers, the volunteers. So everybody.
I want to give a shout out to Helen Knight for setting this up because
100% Helen,
she introduced us from Lincoln Davis as well, and she works with the Movement Centre. Apologies as well because there's a couple of weeks, about 6 weeks ago, we were going to do an interview with the Curtis from the Movement Centre. I was like, yeah, we'll do that, and how schedules go. I couldn't quite get it there. So, but the Movement Centre, I'm coming towards you, mate. So get ready.
Yeah. You'd have a good chat with Curtis. He's another good guy, like Helen, like all of the charity fundraisers. Good people, good fun, and they're in it for the right reasons.
So, listeners, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I could do with getting out there, and whatever, there are opportunities coming. So go to Adrenaline
Sporting Events, .co.uk. So Santa Run's next up. Get your 5K trainers on and get your Santa suit, and then that'll be followed in the new year with Welshpool 10K, and then really we're full flow then, with mountain biking, road cycling, road running, trail running. So hook us up, and hopefully we'll catch you soon.
All right, amazing. Thank you so much for chatting to me.
My pleasure. Thanks for the invite.
And we will catch you guys next time.
Perfect.
Peace out.
Thank you very much.
Hello, listeners, and thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. There is so much you can get involved with the show. We have our YouTube Vintage Biscuit. They're released every Sunday, and they are classic episodes of the Shrewsbury Biscuit. We've been going for over 300 episodes, and we thought we would utilise YouTube in a way that we never have before by releasing those classic episodes every Sunday. If you subscribe to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast YouTube channel, and hit that bell button at the top, you'll be notified every time there's a new episode released. You can also follow the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast on Instagram. You can follow us on Facebook and on Twitter as well. I'm not brilliant on Twitter, but Instagram and Facebook is definitely where it's at, and you'll get all the gossip, where we are, what we've been up to, great pictures, episode art. You'll be told when episodes are released, and you'll get the links there as well. You can listen to the show on Spotify, iTunes, and you can listen to us on Podbean. You can even tell Alexa, Siri, or Google Home to play an episode of the Shrewsbury Biscuit, and it will do as it's told. And finally, check out our website, which is www.theshrewsburybiscuitpodcast.co.uk, and that's made for us by our friends at Web Orchard. If you need a website, make sure you check out Web Orchard, and they will make you a fantastic website that looks just as cool as ours, if not cooler, because they are brilliant at what they do. Right, thank you for listening to this episode, and we'll catch you next time. Peace out, guys.